Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're gonna be reading aloud my UC essays, and these essays got me into all the UCs that I applied to, including Berkeley, LA, SD, and those were the only three I applied to, so yeah, but let's read them. So for UC essays, they're all 350 word limits, and there's 4 that you can pick, but they have 8 different options. So the 4 that I picked were one about creativity, and one about an educational opportunity, and one about my favorite academic subject, as well as something that makes me stand apart from the other UC candidates. Okay, so let's start with number 8. What is one thing that you think sets you apart from other candidates applying to the University of California? Really general. This one's basically open-ended. And I wanted it open-ended because I wanted to write about intrinsic motivation, which I think is something that fundamentally changed me as a person. Okay, let's hear it. This is 333 words. By fully drawing from intrinsic motivation, I've been able to evolve my outlook and reach greater height in my work ethic. As a freshman on our high school dance team, the Valkyries, my captain Dorothy planted the seed of intrinsic motivation I continue to nurture today. She was an incredibly passionate dancer and leader, perfect by no means, but hardworking and inspirational, driven purely by her love for our art. Through my hardest slump, intrinsic motivation softened my movements, increased my pirouettes, and helped me catalyze success once again. Sapling-like, intrinsic motivation has stretched its roots into all parts of my life, revitalizing it. While working at Pho Hoa restaurant, I began to go above and beyond in service with little things like asking tailor-made questions about each customer's entree, refilling water attentively, and initiating small talk with compliments, extending customers the ease of fast pho and boba, the service of a 5-course meal. Previously, my actions were driven by extrinsic rewards like pay raises or tips, but unlike intrinsic factors, extrinsic rewards can never wholly fulfill you. By appreciating the heartfelt rewards of service, I could feel genuine happiness each time I evoked another smile. My vibrant, hardworking attitude naturally influenced my coworkers to consciously engage with customers. When our manager Ernie thanked me for enriching our work environment, I felt elated with yet another reason to pour my soul into service. 3 years later, now as dance captain myself, I'm reflecting and learning from Dorothy to become a more nurturing leader. It's truly heartwarming to have teammates thank me for guiding them and sparking their limitless potential. And looking at our unfolding freshmen, I relive my own discovery of intrinsic motivation and continually appreciate how its strong roots have helped me grow and flourish. Now, envisioning my college self thriving independently, exploring the vast opportunities, and cultivating relationships with professors and peers, I can see my intrinsic motivation infusing my stride through University of California corridors. Okay, reading that essay now, I'm like, okay, I might have exaggerated a little, honestly. Yeah, I made it sound like I'm really good. I made it sound like, damn, gotta look up to her. But yeah, I really don't think I'm that impressive in real life. But something, even though you gotta stay real to yourself, you have to kind of like build up the hype a little because you're trying to sell yourself. So like, I think I did a good job of selling myself. And at the end, I like how I ended on like the note where I'm like, I can see myself. Yeah, that was good. Okay, prompt 6. Think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you have furthered this interest inside and or outside of the classroom. And if you guys remember my reading from last time for my Duke essays, I wrote one about history, right? That was basically a shortened version of this essay that I'm about to read. So you guys can kind of see how I cut it, and also just like if you already heard that essay, then you'll kind of hear a lot of similarities in this one. This is basically an essay about how history changed me and how APUSH, taking that course, has broadened my perspectives about the world. Okay. It is 349 words, so cutting it pretty close. Studying history once seemed like a major burden to me, intimidating and unfamiliar, but undeniably integral to my understanding of society. For a long time, I shrank away from history out of fear and hesitation. Yet, I admire my peers and teachers who made deft historical references and cracked political jokes. Pitifully, I'd laugh along with them, not knowing how or why it was funny. Identifying this as a major obstacle in my academic journey and social development, and feeling unpatriotic as an American, I decided to tackle its root. How? By educating myself. I was going to start by taking AP US History and acing it. I would conquer the facts of history, check them into my arsenal, consider it a done deal, and get on with life. Fortunately, it didn't work out that way at all. All 922 pages of Alan Brinkley's American History textbook later, I was a changed person. I'd been fortuitously infected with the history bug. I wanted more. When I visited Boston recently, my mom was shocked at my request to attend a walking tour, especially an unconventional one exploring the smothered dark side of Boston. I was wholeheartedly excited. From reenacting grave robbing at Granary Grounds to searching remaining vandalism on the royal governor's house, I felt age-old history transform the present space around me. I've discovered a swelling passion for current events, diligently following the daily PBS NewsHour. In my personal reading, I've become absorbed in historical fiction such as World War II era All the Light We Cannot See, and Jeffrey Eugenis's Middlesex, a multicultural exploration of sex and gender. If you guys watched my last video, you know all about that novel. Feeling fact-based history being reshaped into gripping narratives awoke the seemingly distant past for me. As a Chinese American, I understand myself now as a living embodiment of the rape of Nanking, foot binding, and the Immigration Act of 1965. Events I've just come to realize are part of my personal family history. Ultimately, self-knowledge apart from the events that made me is impossible. Through APUSH, history has become for me the tangible, subcutaneous pulsation of life itself. Okay. Damn. A lot of big words at the end. Let's resume. Next, I'm going to read prompt 2, and this one is about creativity, and I wrote it about dance choreography. Every person has a creative side, and it can be expressed in many ways. Problem solving, original and innovative thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. This one was basically about dance choreography and, I remember. Wait, the situation that I wrote about is actually not like a real situation because I wanted to talk about the song that I used, but it wasn't for, what was it not for? Oh, like the song that I used, I didn't actually use it for like a school performance, so I basically kind of like my facts a little, but it's like basically roughly accurate. Let's read it. Wiz Khalifa's See You Again replays for the 29th time. Yet my body stands stiffly in my bedroom mirror, unable to capture the song's melodic mood. Why am I so rigid? Alicia, loosen up. Choreographing a dance is so daunting, but I can't give up. 324 people, almost the entire incoming freshman class, were counting on me to create a spectacular dance for our first rally. The music starts itself again as I shake my limbs loose, close my eyes, and begin to sway to the rise and fall of the piano introduction. The sea of creativity is one of the hardest things to tap into until you just surrender. The vocals fade in, a high-strung voice quivering with fervor. The sea engulfs me. Something in my body finally releases. The turbulent sea calms, and the horizon broadens. There, in the distance, I make out the silhouette of a girl dancing on the water. She moves fluidly to the tune, waltzing from one quarter note to the next, as the music notes come alive to dance with her. And now, she extends her hand, beckoning for someone to join her. Me? I take her hand gently, and gingerly at first, glide onto the water. Suddenly we are dancing in sync. What was this? I open my eyes, and that girl is me. I'm dancing to the music. My mind is blank, and I simply gaze into a mirror as my body leads itself onwards. This is my creativity, metamorphic visions that I shape into crisp and colorful routines. 4 weeks later, I stand before a sea of red, white, and blue face paint that envelops the Limbrook gym bleachers, feeling the sound of 1,000 cheers and banging boomsticks. The music peaks, and the school goes wild, as our entire freshman class does the wonky leg. At that moment, when the music ends, before the cheers erupt again, time stops. I stand in awe. The power of choreography to translate my bursts of visionary flight into this tangible communal expression, breathtaking. I used a lot of imagery in that essay. Damn, not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. Very colorful, very imaginative, very creative essay. Wow. Let's move on. Prompt 4. Describe how you have taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity or worked to overcome an educational barrier you have faced. This one I wrote about my research internship. Let's hear it. 341 words. Perseverance, fervor, and curiosity are qualities I've come to possess as a research assistant. Before I dove into research, I knew I was passionate about integrating service and science in the world of healthcare, but I also yearned to take a chance to explore the other molecular side of biology. When I learned of the STARS stem cell internship at Dr. Jill Helm's laboratory, I was immediately captivated by the smiles of the diverse mentors and accomplished students who interned in past years. Through a rigorous screening process with an essay interview and mini research project, I was fortunate enough to be selected as a summer intern. This internship truly opened my eyes to the possibilities of science. Here, I had the ability to take action on an extensive hypothesis using high-end delicate machines like the micro-CT, microtome, and digital microscope to gather data. My mentor, Dr. Masaki Arioka, guided me with patience and dedication as I quickly familiarized myself with complex staining procedures and delicate sample sectioning. As a part of Dr. Arioka's greater research on lipid cell differentiation from bone marrow stem cells, we explored a lesser-known staining technique called osmium tetroxide in our lab to better fixate and capture lipid cells in the femoral head of mice. Soon, we requested and received permission from Stanford to purchase the chemical for experimentation. In addition to the immense scientific insight and vocabulary I have gained, I've practiced the daily perseverance, creativity, and love for exploration that research requires. The lessons I've absorbed, the curiosity I've nurtured, and the passion I've developed for research inspires me to keep returning to the lab. I could spend all day on the cryosection machine, cutting hundreds of 8 nanometer thin lumber samples as the hours slip by. And someone who can say that with complete sincerity must have a calling for a career in research. Even now during the school year, I return weekly to aid Dr. Arioka in completing his paper. It's truly extraordinary and intriguing to take part in charting the scientific as yet unknown. And there we go. The last essay, I definitely used a lot of detail about me actually being in the lab and a lot of the things that I've learned, and I think that kind of showed my intellectual rigor. Yep. And so those were the 4 essays that I wrote for UCs. I try to pick different prompts to make sure that I'm getting a nice holistic view of myself. So I talked about education, I talked about my research, I talked about dance, choreography, I talked about history, and I talked kind of about me as a person, intrinsic motivation. Yeah, there we go. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll be bringing more college content soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.